There's a moment that happens at night that most people never admit out loud. It usually comes after the lights are off, after the phone stops buzzing, after the house goes completely still, and suddenly the quiet feels different. Not peaceful, not painful, just heavier. Heavier in a way that makes you pause. Heavier in a way that makes old memories feel closer than they did during the day. And if you've felt that shift even once, then you already know this isn't really about the night at all. It's about what the night reveals. There is something about the night that changes the way we experience ourselves, and most people never talk about it openly because during the day we are busy enough to hide from it. But once the sun goes down and the house grows quiet, something inside us becomes louder in a way that is difficult to explain. It is not always sadness. It is not always loneliness in the dramatic sense people describe. It is more like awareness. During the day, there are tasks, responsibilities, routines, phone calls, errands, small conversations, background noise, and all of it keeps the mind moving forward so steadily that we rarely stop long enough to notice what is actually sitting underneath. But at night, especially when the lights are low and there is nothing urgent demanding your attention, the mind begins to wander backward instead of forward. You might find yourself remembering conversations that happened years ago. You might replay moments you thought you had already put away. You might think about people who once filled your evenings, whose voices used to echo through the house, whose presence once made silence feel impossible. And now the silence feels larger, not hostile, just larger. There is a difference between being alone and feeling lonely, and nighttime has a way of blurring that line. You can be completely content with your life, grateful for what you've experienced, proud of what you've built, and still feel a quiet ache when the house settles and the world outside slows down. That ache does not mean something is wrong with you. It means you have lived deeply enough to miss what once mattered. When we are younger, we rarely think about silence. We try to fill it. We rush to avoid it. We turn on music, television, conversation, anything to make sure we are not left alone with our own thoughts. But as the years pass, silence changes its meaning. It no longer feels like something to escape. It becomes something to sit with. And that is where the night becomes heavier. Because silence is honest. It does not distract. It does not flatter. It simply reflects. At night, you may begin to think about the people who are no longer present in your daily life, not always because of loss in the most extreme sense, but because life moves people in different directions. Children grow, friends relocate, work chapters close, communities shift. And even when those changes are natural, they leave behind space. Space where noise used to be, space where routine used to exist, space where someone once needed you. And sometimes, what feels like loneliness is not the absence of company, but the absence of being needed in the same way. That realization can be uncomfortable. For decades, many of us built our identity around responsibility. We were the ones who solved problems. We were the ones who stayed strong. We were the ones others depended on. And when that role slowly changes, it can feel like something has been removed from the center of who we are. Nighttime makes that more visible because there is no distraction from it. But here is something important. The heaviness you feel at night is not proof that your life has become smaller. It is proof that your life was once full. Only people who have loved deeply, carried responsibility seriously, and shown up consistently for others experience this kind of reflective quiet. It is not weakness. It is transition. There is a stage of life where urgency softens, where proving yourself becomes less important, where constant movement gives way to stillness. And stillness can feel uncomfortable at first because it forces you to redefine your value outside of productivity and outside of being needed. At night, when your thoughts slow down enough to catch up with you, you are not being attacked by loneliness. You are being invited into awareness. Awareness of who you are without roles. Awareness of what remains when noise disappears. Awareness of the fact that your worth was never only tied to how much you did for others. The mind at night is not your enemy. It is simply less distracted. If memories surface, let them. If quiet thoughts appear, allow them. You do not need to solve every feeling before you sleep. You do not need to fix the past before you rest. Sometimes the heaviness fades not because you forced it away, but because you stopped resisting it. There is strength in sitting with your own thoughts without trying to escape them. There is maturity in recognizing that loneliness is not always a crisis to be solved, but sometimes a signal that your life has had meaning. And meaning leaves echoes. The night amplifies echoes. But echoes are not emptiness. They are reminders. Reminders that you lived. Reminders that you loved. Reminders that you mattered in rooms that once felt louder. If tonight feels heavy, it does not mean tomorrow will. And even if the quiet continues, you are not disappearing. You are simply entering a different rhythm of life, one that is slower, quieter, more reflective. And reflection is not decline, it is depth. If these thoughts feel familiar to you, then you are not alone in this experience. Many people reach this stage and never speak about it, assuming they are the only ones who feel this shift. But it is a shared human transition, and it deserves calm understanding, not judgment. If this conversation felt steady and honest, stay here. There is more to explore about this stage of life, and none of it needs to be loud to be meaningful. Just clarity.